Nate's just got on a grump because it's cold.
I'm on a grump.
It's just being snappy.
I'm not being snappy. At all. I just said the same thing.
He's doing it again to me now.
I'm Reese, and this is Matt. We're both from Banbury in Oxfordshire and met in a school playground back in 2003. We hit it off immediately, and 12 years later, decided we would ride around the world, not on a cock horse, but in a scooter and sidecar. Now, the idea of circumnavigating the globe on a scooter and sidecar may seem like a cracking idea, but it wasn't going to be easy. So we needed to let the going get tough before the tough got going. Firstly, we weren't going anywhere until we learnt how to ride a motorcycle. We were super lucky to have our test sponsored for free by Metropolis Motorcycles in central London.
Good.
One of the most popular test centres in all of the UK. So we were in good hands.
Wow, you made it look very easy.
Secondly, life on the road was not going to be straightforward.
Woo, that's it.
So we decided to get some miles under our belt in the UK and some survival training.
Nature's cold.
Nature's really cold.
Yeah.
Especially when you forget to sleep in bed.
Two things going on. You'll have self-induced pressures. You will also have system-induced pressures. So your sponsors, all of these things, even your family, it's a system-induced pressure that says, I'm going to do this, I'm not going to fail.
And finally, we needed a route and a reason. When the chips were down, what was going to spur us on?
What's that?
We decided to conduct a giant social experiment that would answer the question, what are people like who aren't from Banbury? 21st of October 2017, Departure Day. 2 years of planning had come and gone, and we were finally setting off. The plan was a 40,000-mile round trip that would see us take our scooter and sidecar to some of the world's most far-flung places. We figured this way we'd be able to answer and know for sure what people were truly made of, as there was no way we'd be able to circumnavigate the globe in quite such a ridiculous fashion without the help from complete strangers along the way. So here we were, and we hadn't had to go too far at all to find some friendly strangers, as we were welcomed by 65 other bikers for the journey from London to Paris. We were excited, but also shitting ourselves at the same time. Finally, we were on our way, crossing Europe, heading for Athens, and a boat across the Mediterranean.
Got to grips with our picnicking today, because right behind you there is a garage with a bar and stuff. You could easily be in there, but why would you want to? Got a lovely flask of coffee, lovely cake, looking out over the ocean, and then earlier on today we had a lovely egg mayo sandwich by a Slovenian river, didn't we, Reece?
Yeah.
And again, another cup of coffee.
It had been 3 weeks since we left the UK, and in our minds, we'd taken to overlanding like a duck to water. But we were only 1 week from Africa, and to make sure we were ready for it, we'd have to take on one final challenge: wild camping.
They're really useful things, these jet boils. I've got a bit close to tent tonight, but it's blowing a gale out here and it kept blowing out. Really good stuff.
Right. That is.
You alright?
Yeah, I'm right, mate. You okay?
Yeah.
What's wrong?
I want to go home.
You want to go home?
Yeah.
Sorry, mate, you can't. Not tonight. You go home in the morning.
Promise?
Yeah, promise. If we get through tonight, you can go home in the morning.
For the pair of us, the idea of going home in any scenario is quickly put to the back of our minds after a morning dance and nice hot bath.
It's freezing here.
Here we go.
Good morning, world! Feel fresh now, don't you, mate?
Despite the odd rocky patch, it was a successful first night's wild camping, and we left hoping it stood us in good stead for the road ahead. We finally made it to Athens after 4 weeks on the road, put the sidecar straight on a boat, and jumped on the first plane to Cairo. We arrived in Egypt and had arranged to couch surf with a guy named Farouk in Alexandria, who said he'd help us clear the bike through customs. It was a good job too, as it was quickly becoming apparent that it would not be an easy task.
So right now everything gonna be okay, but we have to get like 700 for he can start tomorrow. But the day tomorrow we have to meet him again at 12. At 12. Okay. So it's gonna be like we have to go tomorrow to the port. So and we can't make the document that you have to enter the port the day after tomorrow. Okay. So is it okay?
So we knew what we needed to do, but it wasn't going to be easy. And it was becoming clear that it would be a case of pay big bribes or risk growing old in Alexandria whilst we waited for the sidecar.
It's one step forward, 8 steps back really, mate. We're not really too sure what's going on. Paid quite a bit of money, well not a lot, it's about 40 quid. We're just paying some random people we don't really know anything about. I think we're going to have the sidecar in like 2 days. But to be honest, mate, I've thought that for like a week, maybe. I think we could be here for maybe another week until we actually get out here. Who knows? Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. I don't know. But it's Christmas, so Merry Christmas is my theme of the day, and I'm going to be merry about absolutely everything.
It was one of the first calls Matt got right on the whole trip, as the sidecar finally cleared customs some 2 days later and 10 days into our Alexandria stay. So we celebrated the only way we know how. It's a firm belief of ours that you're not ready to scoot the length of any continent without getting a haircut right at the start.
Yeah, just getting really nice and tight now, aren't they? They grow really fast, these bits, yeah.
Armed with side partings that would rival that of Sean Connery, we were back on the road, scooting south, looking like true international men of mystery.
Just a minute.
Here.
Ah, you brought it from London to here. Yeah.
Wherever we went, it seemed we were of constant interest to the Egyptian police. And we later discovered this was down to a growing concern of making sure tourists had a pleasant stay, which suited us perfectly, especially as we were about to encounter our first of many breakdowns. We learnt 2 things that day. 1, always carry a spare bearing, and 2, what a bearing was. It took us 2 weeks to drive the length of Egypt, and for the most part, we hugged the coast, taking in the sea breeze and avoiding the deadly Egyptian traffic. It wasn't long before we had to start making plans for Sudan. In most cases, people travelling from Egypt to Sudan would travel to Aswan and catch a ferry from there all the way down Lake Nasser to just before Wadi Halfa. We'd got news. A new road had opened up though, which was great for two reasons. Not only did it mean we could catch the ferry a little further south, but it would also give us time to explore the Abu Simbel temples first. They'd been moved from Aswan in full, way back in 1964, to avoid being fully submerged underwater by the rising Nile and creation of Lake Nasser, something we found pretty impressive.
We're sitting on a boat going from Egypt to Sudan. Yeah. Technically Egypt to Egypt, but it's very little amount of Egypt left, so we're calling it Sudan.
We finally made it onto Lake Nasser, and what a way to leave a country this was. But to our surprise, we weren't the only ones heading south.
There's loads of little white flies here, and they don't bite. Thank heavens, you actually be scuffing.
Yeah.
One sugar?
Oh, thank you very much. Stop that.
No sugar.
What are your final thoughts on Egypt?
My favourite part of being in Egypt has been just hanging out with the locals, really. They're just so friendly. We didn't really even try that hard to get involved here, and you can't get away with, can't get through the day without chatting to somebody. So I think it's an incredibly friendly place, and I think Sudan's supposed to be even friendlier. So bring it on! Can't wait.
The plan was to set off on a 1,500-kilometre trip from Wadi Halfa to the capital, Khartoum. But the searing Sudanese heat left us sweltering and sweating on a completely different scale.
I have no idea how these people survive here. It's just so hot.
It was about this time that we realised close-face helmets were the worst mistake we made in planning for Africa. But we stocked up on water, fuel, Factor 50 and hit the road. So far, our journey down through Sudan had been one of relative ease. We'd wild camped the whole way and were loving the experience. With only a few days left until we reached Khartoum, we felt pretty confident we'd make it trouble-free.
Whoa! There we go. She's up. Whoa! Look at it go. We've got all this nice wood here from earlier.
Certainly warm.
Just stopped for a Coca-Cola break at 8:30 in the morning, and you're probably thinking that's too early for a Coca-Cola break. But when you've been up the best part of the night, really bad timing, wild camping.
Yeah. We were doing a lot of digging last night. It was disgusting. We've eaten something dodgy clearly, and we're in a horrible way. And then to top it off this morning, we just went to sit down, and I saw something go like this, really fast up his leg, and I was like, oh my god, what is that? Maybe it's a shadow. And it turned out it was a scorpion on his leg. Oh, he did kept a calm head actually, because I told him that he had a scorpion on your leg, mate, you need to stay really still. So then I had to go and get like a stick or something. I got a huge lighter on his back. Yeah, it was like, I could see down. It was rag. He was still waddling around like this. And it was on his back of his leg.
It turned out to be the most tiresome day of the trip so far, and we both finished it half a stone lighter and thankful to have come out on top in the battle against wildlife. The following morning, we woke up fully refreshed and ready to reach Khartoum, but we still had a little work to do yet.
But one or two more back tyre troubles. We're looking like we have to change the whole tyre now. It's completely worn down.
Somehow, we'd driven a scooter and sidecar all the way to Sudan and still did not know how to change a tyre. These guys did though, and they had us back on the road in no time. After a week of wild camping our way through the Sahara, we'd reached the capital and it was completely alive. Our first thoughts turned to that of a shower, before we were invited to make a special appearance at two very important events. First came a traditional Sudanese wedding, before we were invited to meet the Sudanese Bikers Club. They'd heard tales of our scooter and sidecar and were desperate for us to teach them a couple of the skills we'd learnt on the road.
It's cool, they've got some really cool bikes and they ride them with pretty cool style, yeah, much cooler than us. It's fun to be here. Didn't realise this kind of thing existed in Sudan, so cool experience. Now I'm blocking their car, sorry.
We left Sudan well rested, lifelong friends of the Sudanese Bikers Club, and with a renewed enthusiasm for life on the road. The scenery from Sudan to Ethiopia changed in a heartbeat. We left behind the sands of the Sahara and were welcomed by the hills of Ethiopia. The plan was to make our way to Gondar, the first big town in Ethiopia, for a welcome break. But it was clear from the start that our arrival wasn't the only thing happening in Ethiopia that day.
We're just driving down the street and this has happened. We've got no idea what it is at all.
We were loving the atmosphere of all the villages we went through and were enjoying the excitable company of the locals. But then all of a sudden, things changed dramatically.
Go, Reese, go, floor it! Reese, keep going.
You good?
Stop, Reese, stop.
In amongst the wild celebrations, we'd broken down and were in big trouble.
Push it off down here. It's completely fucked. Yeah. It's just completely broken down and all of this. Unbelievably bad luck. We need to get it on the side of the road. Not work, no.
We had no idea what the problem was, and no idea how people would react. Now we were completely stuck.
Yeah, we need to lift it over here. Right, so you lift that bit, and I'll lift this bit. You need to put it that way. Ready? 3, 2, 1, lift.
Luckily for us, we were saved, and we left the locals to continue on their wild celebrations, as we later found out we'd crashed Timcat Festival, the biggest festival in all of northern Ethiopia. What were the chances?
Sidecar is, the scooter is completely done for, I think. It's just the back tyre, the back wheel's locked up, and it doesn't start either. So that's two really big problems, I think.
Yeah, so after disaster struck yesterday, we managed to get to a hotel. Bearing in mind we had to also, get two separate trucks to take us here because one truck wouldn't take us the whole way. We were about 5 kilometres from where we needed to get to, and the guys decided, that's your lot. Matt's had a look at it this morning. We found this come out the bottom of the scooter. Not sure what that is, but it's really not good news.
Yeah. Our clutch had burnt out, and we didn't have a spare. The metal was the clutch shoes, and they'd exploded inside. We need to get a new one, flown out to us from the UK. It wasn't a bad break though, and despite spending the first few days feeling sorry for ourselves, we welcomed the opportunity to take somewhere in properly.
to 1.
So it's been 2.5 weeks, but we finally have our parcel. Yeah! Go on, mate, open it up. Christmas! Okay. Let's have a look. No, I haven't, mate. No. I've got some bubble wrap for you to play with, mate. And then we've got another plastic bit, which I'm sure is really crucial that we don't know what it does. So these are our new rollers, and these rollers, are mate.
Sorry, our new weights. And these are our old weights.
Yeah, that's the difference.
We'd never fixed anything before, let alone one of the most complex, vital ingredients of a scooter and sidecar combo. So we made a lot of mistakes.
So now tomorrow we're going to have to stay here again and try and take it apart and put it back together again. Kill switch off. I'm so scared. Oh! Did you hear that sound? What the fuck was that? Oh no! What is that sound? I don't know what that could possibly be. Well, I think it wasn't that way. Can we do it one more time? Yeah, come on. Okay.
It had been 3 weeks waiting for the parts, and at that moment, it looked like it would never work. It was a disaster.
Yeah, go on.
This looks like it's working. The sounds seem pretty normal, don't they?
Yeah, I guess so. Okay.
Right, trial test 25.
Give it a start, mate.
Yes. Phase 1 done. Hang on. Ready? Oh, we've got a driving scooter and sidecar.
We were finally
Yes.
back on the road. Having been stuck for so long, we were now flying for Africa, and the scenery was fantastic.
Woohoo! Look at this! Amazing!
Reese? Matt? Your name?
And if you see there, that's where the tyre wall has come through on the main bit like it did before. Okay guys, yes. Goodbye.
We just got to Kenya. Got a lot of camels here.
Hi. Hello there, how you doing? Hi. Very nice mountain you have here. Your name? I'm Matt. Nice to meet you.
Reese.
Reese.
Yes.
Lovely to meet you.
Yes.
Lovely face you got.
What's the bread?
Dig in. Have a look. Oh yeah, might have some water there. It's on this. It's a bit hot. Yeah. Okay, had a try. Do you like it? Yeah. It's not quite Walker's, so don't make it assumption on all crisps. But it is nice. You're not too sure if you've had crisps. You've had cheese and onion.
Yes.
Yeah. So they're all right. Fence. You can see that keeps the hyenas out. The middle of the road was a massive hippo. Huge hippo. So hot out here.
Since we'd left Ethiopia, we'd made unbelievable progress, and were now just a country away from our final destination of Cape Town. We'd seen and experienced so much, but hadn't seen too much of the wildlife Africa is famous for. So if the lions weren't going to come to us, we were going to go to the lions. We'd seen some amazing things on the trip so far, and this was right up there with the most spectacular. There's elephant right here. It's a boy, very healthy. We left the Big Five, pleased to have not encountered them while sat in the sidecar, and ready to get back on the road and edge closer to our Africa finishing line.
So we're quite literally crossing the bridge into South Africa.
Last country in Africa!
Last country in Africa. Woo! Here we go. Bye bye Zimbabwe. There it is.
South Africa!
Here we go.
Yep, we're here.
We'd done it. After 5 months on the road, 12,200 action-packed miles, we'd made it from London all the way to Cape Town.
So this is it. This is where the sidecar gets put on that crate there. I won't see it again until South America and Chile.
So far, on our quest to find out what the world was truly made of, we hadn't met a single bad person. But as we made our way over to the Americas, what could be said for the journey from Chile all the way to Alaska?
Well, we've had an absolute nightmare here, guys. And now we've pulled over because we're in real bother.
Try that!
Very well known for a few kidnappings around there.
Flipping heck! Oh god, there's got to be a knack to that.